This guy's called the Standing Streamer.
Wrestling with Regret, and you're watching Putting You Over.
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to Putting You Over. I am the Standing Streamer, and I am not happy tonight. Anyways, that's what we're doing tonight. But tonight on this show, we are going to get educated and schooled in a little NWA wrestling with the doctor, Robert Stinson from the NWA podcast. He's going to be coming on at 9:15, I hope, says Vanessa, 9:15. And then
Good evening, Rob. How are you doing?
Hey, good evening. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Go over here. Excellent. I'm having the most terrible. Can you hear me, Robert?
Oh, yeah, man. I hear you great.
Awesome. I having the most terrible technical time, and it all came at the wrong time. We were just saying at the start of the show, me and a couple other people, we share a Zoom account. It's a paid account. We share it, and we all use it. So every day before I get ready to do the show, I log in and click it, and it's good to go. And today the login didn't work. I'm like, oh, I probably didn't capitalize something. So I do it again, nothing working. I DM the person. I was like, did you change the password? Blah, blah, blah. No answer from them. Now I'm starting to panic. I'm like, oh, crap. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll use my Zoom account, although it's not paid, and we'll just go with it from there. Now, the rumor I've heard is that they shut you down. They cut the call off 40 minutes in, but I've heard from some high sources in the Zoom quote-unquote usage, people that use Zoom a lot, tell me that as long as we have 3 people, no more than 3, we won't get cut off after 40.
Yeah, we run into technical issues like literally every time. We've been doing this for a while now. Gary's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
And it's like every day we'll come in, we'll just kind of stagger. We're not really this punctual all the time,
Yeah.
We'll come in and there's always something going on. But we on one occasion we did that. We had to go with just the pro bono Zoom account. We had like
whoa! Stop the clock,
off, man. We were tripping out. We're like, oh, we got to end it. We saw the countdown. We're like, hey, everybody, we're gonna end this and go onto the NWA Pod Zoom and try that. So, but if we got 3, I think we'll be fine. I think we're good.
I think we'll be fine.
I think no more than 3. So,
and we'll play it by ear. They cut us off.
Man.
I make the hot tag and we go back in.
That's right. Yeah.
How are you doing tonight, sir? First of all,
shoot, I'm better than I deserve, man.
Better than you deserve.
My Braves got their first win of the year tonight. So I know you're a Red Sox fan. And nothing but respect for the Red Sox, but we have labored and have suffered for years too down here in Georgia. So
they Sox
I
got.
don't think anyone has suffered more than I have when it comes to teams.
Well, that's because you cheer for a
Are you
Canadian
a
team.
Toronto fan or
No, I'm a Tigers fan.
Oh, that's even,
Tigers? Okay.
that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Hey, no, you got the Tigers just signed Carson Palmer, player from this neck of the woods. Played at Vanderbilt. Fantastic player, man. And I just saw that come across my little MLB update today, and so I think you guys got really, really, really big things in store for you there in Detroit. It's, I love the Tigers. One of the Comerica Park's one of my favorite stadiums.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, no, 5 to 10 years ago, that was our year to win, and we didn't. So I have no hopes anymore.
That's how I felt last year. And I'm also a Falcons fan. I know you're soccer, and I like soccer too. But I'm from the deep South, so here, pro football and college football is almost religious. And about the same year, the Georgia Bulldogs, my Georgia Bulldogs and my Atlanta Falcons were like, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And I was like, man, this is it. I'm going to be talking about this 20 years from now, that was our missed opportunity. So,
I do like, I love soccer. I'm a big Liverpool fan. I am an NFL fan. Now I'm a Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins fan at heart, but you'll like this. I'm not a Patriots fan. And I know that the Patriots is probably not a good subject to bring up with the Falcons. So I am actually not a Patriots fan. I am a Tennessee Titans fan.
Okay.
I go way back.
What was that? Just out of curiosity.
My older brother was a Warren Moon fan. We were Houston Oilers fans.
Okay.
We loved the Oilers, blah, blah, blah. We followed them all the way. We stuck with them when they changed to Tennessee. So I always have to tell people that because everyone assumes I'm a Patriots fan all the time. I get it all the time. So where I am in upstate New York, I get, like, they know I'm a Red Sox fan. I get a lot of flack because they're probably a Giants fan or a Jets fan. And like, I'm like, nope, not a Patriots fan. I'm a Titans fan.
When I get into discussions with like sports fans, we were talking with Eddie Kingston the other night. He was so gracious, and we spent a lot of time talking before we actually started recording. And we were just talking baseball and stuff. And when you talk to people who like really, really, truly love the sport, a lot of times there's not an answer. Like if you'd come up and said, I'm a Patriots fan, I would have said, man, nothing but respect. I have nothing but respect. I don't like them, I respect them. And that's Kingston's a kid from the Bronx, and he's a Yankees fan, and they have tortured us and you for years and years and years. But I don't hate the Yankees. Not like I hate, the Mets.
The Mets.
I respect the Yankees.
Fun fact: I actually have 3 brothers, and my older one, me and him are like kind of the same with our sports team. The younger 2 are twins, and they clash in all sports. So I have one younger twin that's a Braves fan. Loves the Braves. He was so mad at their first game because he blamed the fact that they had to have a DH is the reason they lost. And I was like, well, Eric, they didn't score. Like they couldn't hit or get any runs. Like that could be a reason.
Yeah.
And then for football,
That's right. Yeah.
The oddest thing in the world for football, one of them's a Lions fan, the other's a Packers fan. They're twins, and I'll tell you right now, it made Sundays hell. Just
Lions, he's for me.
You're a Lions fan, Vanessa?
Yeah, so I can't cheer for any Toronto team. I just can't do it. And I'm it makes me not Canadian, but I just can't do it.
That's cool. Matthew Stafford is a Georgia boy and played at the University of Georgia, and so I've always rooted for the Lions. It's one of those like there are several teams that I really, really like. I like the Titans because they're local. We can go. We can almost get to the Titans Stadium quicker than we can get to, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome down there. But I've always liked the Lions too, and I always liked Barry Sanders, and I really love Matt Stafford. I think he's one of the great unsung, underrated quarterbacks, and the reason that they're in the picture, is because of him. And so I have nothing but respect for the Lions. I also remember that they seem to always be the team that would play on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So they always have Thanksgiving Classic, and so whenever we watch the parade, and then we watch football, and it was usually like, I think maybe the Redskins play, but I remember the Lions always played on Thanksgiving. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Lions,
always more, the
Packers.
last couple years has been like Lions, Bears.
Yeah. Oh, Lions.
yeah.
Good Lord. My brother have a
My
field day.
son's a Bears fan. My son goes to school in Norwich, but my daughter is in my oldest. I have 4 kids. I have 2 in college. I have a 10-year-old Piper who's the face you see behind, and then I have my I'm right back in it, guys. I got a 20-month-old, so
Oh my goodness
I'm right
gracious.
back in the game. But my son's a Bears fan. I don't know how that started or anything, but so I kind of root for them too. It's just one of those things, like kind of like you, when you got relatives that pull for them. You family solidarity is a big deal for us, and it's cool.
Yeah. Well, we probably could talk sports for an hour, but I would love to talk some wrestling as well. You're a huge wrestling fan. Obviously, I'd like to ask everyone, what's the first memory that they have, their first wrestling memory that's stuck in their brain? I always feel someone has one that they attached to, like your first girlfriend or something like that. Like, what's your first memory?
Well, I don't ever remember life. I do have a kind of a somewhat distinct memory. I don't ever remember wrestling not being in my life. For me, it's wrestling is important because it's about family and solidarity and all those kinds of things. My brother and I don't want to get in here and tell some kind of sob story. My brother and I had a fantastic childhood, but we were in generational poverty. Our parents were cool. They were never mean to us. They never abused us in like a physical or mean way. But my mom was an alcoholic, and my dad was like a traveling rock and roller. He was in dance. He was a heroin addict. He would disappear for like 2 years, and he would pop back in. And we thought he was like Captain Jack Sparrow. We thought he was the coolest thing. He actually kidnapped us for like 2 weeks one time. My parents divorced when I was very, very young. I don't remember them being married, but he would pop back in. And one time he came to visit, and he kidnapped my brother and I. And we had a great time, but my mom, of course, was tripping out.
You guys were probably having the time of your life. Your mom was probably shitting her pants.
Oh yeah, we were having it. And he wasn't doing it. He was just that's the spirit he had, man. He was a drifter. He was a rambler, and he didn't think, he was very selfish. He thought about himself, and but he was always kind to us. He never treated us bad. When he was there, he would shower us with stuff and experiences and all that kind of thing. And my mom loved him deeply, and they loved each other deeply, but they had demons and stuff. They were, but the bottom line is my brother and I were raised ourselves. And the only reason that, we didn't end up out in trouble or anything was because every night at 6:05 on Saturday, we had to be in to watch wrestling, and then the Braves would come on after that. My earliest memory is probably about 1981, 1982. At that time, Tommy Wildfire Rich was the biggest thing in Georgia, man. Biggest thing. I mean, he was over like nothing else, man. He was bigger than Ric Flair. Ric Flair was just emerging.
At that time, Tommy Wildfire Rich sure was. He was in the last Battle of Atlanta.
Buzz Sawyer.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Buzz Sawyer. Good grief. And then the best part, the thing that you said that triggered a memory right in my mind was 6:05, 6:05, 7:05, TBS. There you were. Boom. No, people need to do.
It's so weird too, because the way they worked, like they had major. This is how big Crockett Promotions was. Major League Baseball was adjusting their time because they would come in on 8:05. Saturday night was 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then while everybody else was coming on at 6 or 7, whatever, the Atlanta Braves came on at 8:05 because of wrestling. But we had a tape recorder, and my brother and I would actually have our own little shows in our room, and my brother's 3 years older than me. He'd always make me be the bad guy, always. So I was Buzz Sawyer, and he was Tommy Rich or whatever. He developed his own persona. He called himself Johnny Quicksilver. And we would record these tapes, man. I have 1 or 2 somewhere, and we're just like, he's like citing Gordon Sully, what do you think about this? Tell me what you think about Johnny Quicksilver, and this kind of stuff. And, and so that's my earliest memory is my brother and I on our little cassette tape, recording our little wrestling matches, beating the hell out of each other. And I've got a scar on my head. I don't know. You can kind of maybe see it right there. Yeah. That scar came from a the Roan Street Heavyweight Championship title match when I was probably about 7 years old, and I lost that match. But he used a foreign object, and you can see there's evidence of it there.
Yeah, the cheese grater or something.
It was a bed rail.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I relate so well with that because, as I said, I had an older brother, and I had my younger brothers are. I'm a 3-year difference, so me and my younger brothers are the same as you and your brother. My older brother's 8, and we used to just we would announce our LJNs. We'd have tournaments with them. We would videotape. We'd have like small little, what people call backyard wrestling. We would have stuff like that in our house, like in the house, in the backyard. Matches would go through my living room. I remember my mom and dad just screaming at us. Cookie sheets were always involved. And the championship belt, see, we were ahead of our time because the championship belt that we used was like this really nice watch my dad had. It was like just like a looked, it might have been platinum. I don't know what it was, but it was shiny and it was nice. And you know, like the diamond ring MJF wears right now. But we'd use that, and the matches were insane. So you're right. It's like it's the camaraderie and it's the bringing togetherness of wrestling. Mm-hmm. I've said multiple times on this show and just to people in my everyday life, like, you either were a wrestling fan or you are a wrestling fan. And that's just the way it is. And everybody can relate. Did you get any flack, like, growing up as a kid, being a wrestling fan, or even now with, like, you're an athletic director, like, you have high up things, like you do really, really important stuff. Like, do you get flack for being as big of a wrestling fan as you are? Might be different because you're so down, you're deep south. It might be totally different.
Right. Yeah, it's down here. It's, you know, the United States is big, and you know, every region you go to is different. I imagine that probably the 2 places in the country where it's safest to be a wrestling fan are probably the Northeast, and the Southeast. You know, when I grew up, everybody was a wrestling fan. You know, I mean, my in the housing development, and the project that we lived in, that's all we talked about. We'd make our belts out of aluminum foil and stuff, and we had like a variety of time. We had, now this is in the Roan Street project, you know, and we had the Texas Championship because the World Class would come on. We had the New Jersey Championship, you know, for random stuff that meant nothing, but everybody had some kind of title that we made out of aluminum foil and cardboard. Growing up now, you'd be surprised. I think that with Piper's Notes, the show that we put out on the podcast, that's sort of my daughter's project. It's she's very interested in Broadway and theater, and she loves wrestling and baseball too, more or less because I like it and she wants to do things with me. But we've got nothing but positive responses from that. And you'd be surprised at how many people, I think wrestling, don't get me, I don't want to sound crude here. I don't want to sound like dismissive. Wrestling gets this reputation of being like this white trash, you know, like what I was growing up, you know, like ghetto, trailer park, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those people are people, and they need entertainment, and they have their, you know, they need to fill their voids as well too. But wrestling is, in our view, and this is the mission of Piper's Notes, wrestling is just as much a form of creative and performance art as Broadway, as rock and roll, as theatric sports like baseball. It has as much drama. I mean, we've had pro wrestlers like Earl Caddick and Frank Gotch go into the White House, be invited by presidents. They were honored in that time, and it was considered something of a national pastime. And so more times than not, we've been greeted with, "Hey, man, thank you for saying that," because we want to be embarrassed by wrestling. I've never felt like marginalized or bullied or anything like that. In fact, wrestling is full of very, very intelligent people. You've got yourself, you've got Vanessa, you've got guys like Mick Foley, who speaks freaking 6 languages. You've got William Patrick Corgan. You've got Josephus Brady, who's a professor at a college in Middle Tennessee. I mean, you got Gary Horn and Will Martin, who are 2 of the smartest guys I know. Wrestling appeals to human instincts. It appeals to that need in us for something higher, something greater. It's Greek mythology. I mean, so excuse me. we rapidly defend the literary and performance merit of wrestling on its own terms, not comparing it to anything else. Wrestling is a legitimate form of culture, and it's high culture. It's not crude. It's not crass. It has been. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been periods that I think are black stains on the history of the sport, but more often than not, we've gotten very, very positive feedback.
It's I mean, you couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better myself. You did a phenomenal job. I get flack all the time that I'm still a wrestling fan and then I still enjoy it.
I would say I get flack too, but then the thing is all these people will come up to me who give you flack and be like, "Oh, did you watch on Friday? I was bored, so I just decided to watch."
Yeah.
Well, why did you watch?
Exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let me. I mean, I'm the public education ambassador for Walker County in Northwest Georgia. I was in the governor's office 2 or 3 days ago, and I've met every governor. I've met every governor for the last 4 or 5 iterations since I've been in public education, and so much so that like our senator recognizes me. They know us. They know we're coming. We don't go there to talk politics or thing. I'm pushing public education interests and all that. And I got to where I wore my 10 pounds of gold lapel pin. And I'm thinking, I'm in this office, and I'm like, holy cow, man. This office has been occupied by some of the greatest people ever. Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter sat in this office as governor. And now I brought 10 pounds of gold. And Governor Kemp, and I'm not here to endorse Kemp or anything, but I thought it was cool that the governor of the state of Georgia, like, recognized the pin. It's like, dude, I mean, he didn't say dude, but he's like, hey, so he has grown up with wrestling, and he is in the seat of the highest power in the state of Georgia. Now, I tweeted that. Somebody took issue with it, and I engaged them a little bit and tried to, bring some positivity, but they were just closed-minded and you're being political. Whatever, man. I'm not even going to address that. The point is, the Real World's Championship, the symbol of the Real World's Championship was in the office of the governor of the state of Georgia. Office occupied by Lester Maddox, by Jimmy Carter, by all these governors, by Eugene Talmadge, who was on the cover of Time magazine from World War II. They occupied that same office. And so don't be shamed, don't be humble, don't stand your ground, and you don't have to be, you don't owe them any defense at all, other than to say, you know what, wrestling is legitimate entertainment, and it's performance art along the lines of Broadway.
Yes, I was just going to make a comment about that too, because Wrestling with Emma in the Twitch chat said that wrestling to her, I guess it's a female, it says Emma, wrestling to her is the highest form of art. And we've had, I think, Vanessa, we were going to have two. We had Gabby Ortiz, independent wrestler from up north. She knew nothing about wrestling. She was a theater girl. She did acting and this and that, and that's what drew her in, was the theatrics. And we were going to talk to Casey Cattell, but she got sick, and the same thing with her, and she's gone on to do amazing things. I mean, wrestling is an art form. I definitely, I do get flack from it, but it's not from a ton of people. It's just from some close friends that know it pushes my buttons. But something that you brought up that it triggered something in my brain, because you work in the school, you work with kids, you're very involved in that in wrestling. There's like for example, there's a pro wrestling club for middle school kids in Georgia. Let's see, they're on Twitter, Pro Wrestling Club. Yeah, that's what it's called, at Pro Wrestling Club, CL1. I know they're down there in Georgia, and he's making a belt, and he's reaching, the at-risk kids, and he's reaching them through wrestling, and he's building a club, and he's getting it, all approved by the school and stuff like that. Here, I'll post the link in the chat. I've been talking to these guys for a while. They're down in Georgia, because I wanted to have them on. There it is in the Twitch chat if someone wants to pass that along somewhere. I can give you that information after. But it is like, and I work with, the kids I work with are school-age kids. They're probably 7th, 8th graders, Some, they all have a diagnosis of autism, but, it's a spectrum, so there's different levels. And they love wrestling. Like I relate so well with them with wrestling. Like when they find out I'm a wrestling fan, it blows their mind. They just want to talk, and they don't talk to anybody. And they're just like, blah, blah, blah. They found out I went to a house show. They're like, did you see this guy? Did you see this guy? You saw Randy Orton, blah, blah. They wanted my pictures. It can bring people together, and it's just great like that. And I wanted to, like the kids you deal with, you educate them on wrestling from the past and how it's so much better than wrestling from today?
Well, I've been in the same school system for 15 years.
Ooh.
I was at the middle school before I went to the high school, and so in most instances, I've known these kids like their whole lives and their families. So we're very close too. I mean, it's for family is the thing, man. It comes about everywhere, and so we did a fantastic tribute to Nick Aldis on the 500th day, and was basically all of my students who share. We call Regional High. We call it NWA High. That's what we call it, and because they're all about it. And actually, I don't want to spoil anything here, but there's no reason to sit on it. We give out an award every year. It's kind of like our Heisman Award, and we name it after Von Bell, who is one of our distinguished graduates. He played for the New Orleans Saints, now plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, because of the COVID situation, normally Von comes and presents the award to our male and female athletes of the year.
Yeah.
He's not able to do that because of the way that the season's panning out. So this year, the man coming to defend our belt to present our trophy is Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis is coming, and he's going to bring the belt, and he's going to be presenting our Von Bell Awards for top athletes at NWA High at Ridgeland High School. And our kids know him. They respect him. Our kids are very informed about wrestling, and they – our teachers love it. They know me, and they know I'm kind of quirky about that. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's great. It's amazing. I mean,
but Nick Aldis does that. He does. He does a lot of work with schools, and it's not just like we're unique. He is not only is a great fighting champion, he's also a statesman and ambassador for the sport, just like Thunder Rosa is.
Well, we can hold off on the word fighting champion. He hasn't really fought in a while, Robert. We can say champion.
Yeah. No. We can talk about that too.
I say it in jest because it's fun to joke about, because really he doesn't have a choice, not that he can't do anything. But you are seeing like Eddie Kingston. He showed up here and Ricky Starks left, but there's people showing up. I mean, I would like to see Nick Aldis show up somewhere. Just show up. I mean, I don't know the logistics of that, how that would work or could it work, but it would be nice just to see him in a ring, because we haven't in so long. At least I haven't.
And I think he does too. I mean, I think that, because Nick is a fighting champion, that this whole situation is uncomfortable for him. I mean, he's known for the Aldis Crusade. He's known for these amazing prize fights against guys like James Storm, Tim Storm, Marty Squirrel. The list goes on and on and on. He's one of only 3 or 4 men to ever make Sting tap out. He's amazing. So he wants to wrestle, and I think that they're working on those things right now. The thing about the NWA, I view the NWA as not really a promotion, but a meta promotion. It's an overarching promotion. I mean, you've got a lot of there's a lot of legitimate titles out there. I think that the Raw and SmackDown belt for the Universal and I can't even name the other title.
That's the problem. There's too many over there. First
too many,
of all.
But the New Japan belt, the AEW, those are all legitimate championships. They have a legitimate claim, but they are all the children of the NWA. And so the world's champion, the
real
only world's champion is Nick Aldis.
Yes.
And I believe that they all believe that too. I mean, Chris Jericho obviously has deep veneration for the NWA. Triple H has 10 pounds of gold in his office at WWE headquarters.
I'm sure
that's how much they respect. And if you ask these people who are rooted in their history and really love the sport, all of them will tell you the belt that Nick Aldis holds, that is the one they want. And so I don't think that barring just working out some logistics like you allowed, I think that we're going to see that. I mean, Obviously, we have a relationship with them and we're in conversation with, but we don't know the details of what's being said between him and Maureen and Josephus and Aldis. But I feel like that's coming. I feel like for instance, the Eddie Kingston situation, I think that's going to play out. I think they both want it, and if the landscape plays out favorably, they'll find a place to do it, and it'll happen.
If that's the only match on the card, they can have my money.
What match?
Absolutely.
Aldis versus who?
If it's Aldis versus Kingston, they can
take
whatever.
it.
They just put whatever price tag on it. I'm gonna pay it.
Yeah.
I don't care. There doesn't have to be any other matches. That's it. I'm just.
And you saw Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton offered his venue to be the host venue. The School of Morton. He's like, hey, we'll have it here. They want it. They're and we were in Patreon conversation the other night with Billy Corgan, and they had nothing but positive things to say about the direction. And we've been told that things are coming out, original content's coming out maybe as early as this month. So the NWA is fine. They're very deliberate. They want to make sure, for them, it's all about, they don't want the quality of what we do or the prestige of the brand to take any dip as a result of rushing things back. You've got a core base of fans that are always going to be there no matter what. People that might have dipped away, and it's not like the world is big enough. It's not like it has to be the NWA or WWE or AEW. Go and enjoy those things. They're great things. I love one of my favorite wrestlers in the world is Shinsuke Nakamura. I love him. To me, he can do no wrong. I love Chris Jericho. I love Brody King. I think that it's all these things, man. You don't have to. It's not one or the other. So I think the NWA is not hurting itself necessarily by being deliberate. It doesn't have a TV deal. The prestige is what it is. Just a little bit of history, and I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but Earl Caddick, a lot of people will trace the roots of the NWA to 1948, and that's true. It was formally organized then, but it's not like that just happened like overnight. The NWA formed because they wanted to clear up some confusion. Really, the lineal title that Nick Aldis holds goes back to 1908, and some would say even before that. But there was a champion that I consider an NWA champion. His name was Earl Caddick, and he was the world champion at the time that World War I broke out.
Good grief.
Now, this man left as the champion, fought in World War I, came back 2 years later, left in like 1917, came back in 1920, 21, and defended the title, still as the champion. So, these breaks in defenses are not unprecedented. Luther sometimes would go, he might defend the belt 4 times a year. Obviously, it is in Nick Aldis's blood. He wants to be a fighting champion. Yeah. We've also said that it doesn't have to be defended all the time, but he does want to defend it. But the prestige of the company is not hurt one bit, I don't think.
I don't think either. I mean, like you said, the community is just as strong as it was. It could even be stronger, and the anticipation for a return could just help them tremendously. Now, right before all this hit, we were supposed to see Marty Squirrel and Nick Aldis.
Mm-hmm.
When you see Nick Aldis defending that title again, do you want it to be against Marty Squirrel? Does it have to be against Marty Squirrel?
I would like to see it. It doesn't have to be. I think Nick Aldis is waiting on that great career-defining feud. We've had some great feuds. I think Marty Squirrel's one of them.
Yeah.
I think obviously Cody, fantastic. The Tim Storm is just money, And then there's the countless others that we've not seen yet, like Eddie Kingston or whoever's on the horizon. We've got Hennig, that is looking for a job that I think would perfectly in the NWA. Rusev, you got it. But I like Marty Squirrel. I think, that night he came into the audience and into the fire.
Yeah.
The place went nuts. The place went absolutely pandemonium. And don't get me wrong, whether you believe in heels or faces in the NWA, I have my own opinion about that. Nick Aldis is over, but when Marty Squirrel walked in there, I haven't seen a reaction like that since like the 80s. It was crazy. So they bring energy. They work well together. They're good friends. I think there's a real competitiveness there between the two of them. That's legit. It's not just story writing, So I would like to see it. I'd like to see that. I tweeted when right when we bought our tickets, the moment they went on sale, we bought our tickets, and I tweeted that. I said, I cannot wait. I'm so proud that 10 years now, my daughters will brag about the night they took their dad to see Nick Aldis bury Marty Squirrel. It's all in good fun. I respect the heck out of Marty Squirrel, but I'd like to see it. It doesn't have to be, but I would like it. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm ready for Marty Skrull and Nick Aldis, and I hope that when we see that belt defended, I hope that we pick up right where we left off. You can build back up to it if you want, but the next time that NWA belt gets defended, it should be against Marty Skrull. That's what we were all waiting for. I look at it like if I went to a concert, and I've seen this before. I've been at concerts like this. The guitar player's jamming on a riff or something, and the whole band's like jamming out, and they the guitar player breaks a string or something happens, and they come right back in and just pick up right where he left off, like picked up on the right note and everything. And I think that's where I want it to pick back up. Like nothing happened really. I mean, you can build back up. You can have storylines. You can come back and do a bunch of tapings leading back up to it, rekindle that feud, get people, into the fired up again. But when that NWA belt gets defended, I want to see Marty Skrull versus Nick Aldis. That's what I was ready for.
Yeah,
I don't care what the other matches are, really. But
no, I 100% agree. I wouldn't object to that. I know that people's careers take routes and things happen. They happen through history. I'm a history guy, actually.
Yeah.
That's where my doctorate's in learning and leadership with a history bent. I did my dissertation on a history topic, and you spend years with something, you feel like you're married to it, you would have no objections here from the Stinsons, not at all.
Yeah,
on that.
and it's like you can't pick up with the Crockett Cup. Like you can't just say, "Hey, we're doing the Crockett Cup. Here, let's do that tournament," because you can't do that because the Crockett Cup is at a certain time.
Yeah,
and so that makes sense to me. But that title match between Aldis and Squirrel, that can happen. That can be your first bout, I guess. I don't know. Piper's Notes. Your kid's a phenomenal show under the NWA Pod banner. In there, you guys, you just mentioned it earlier. You talked to Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked to many others wrestlers. How she's involved? She loves theater. You said. How did it come about that she wanted to do this style of show?
There was a show that we really got into, and she would say, "Dad, we love rock and roll. My kids love music, man. I've got great kids, man. They're just their hearts are so good, and they really, a lot of the interest that they get into, they do it because of me. I know it. They just want to spend time with me, and I'm more than happy to have them along. But there was a show. It's called I think it's called something like Kids Interviewing Rock Stars.
Yeah,
and you have these two twin, well, not twins, but two sisters, and they're not much, older or much younger than Piper. Sweetest kids, man. Just, I love kids, and they're just sweetest kids, and they're interviewing like Danzig and Tool and Slayer, and they're interviewing these guys come in and they're so tender with them. And Piper, we would watch these episodes, and it was so cool. And then when the thing started back in I don't know, it was February, right before COVID broke, we started doing basically a little thing just for ourselves, a fan reaction to what Rotella and Gary were doing on their post show. And we would do fan reaction. We would send it to them. They would comment, like it. And sometimes we would just send it to them personally, like, hey, this is what we do. It's a ritual in our house. And we just started sending out, YouTube or not YouTube, Instagram messages and Twitter messages to different personalities. And of course we go to the power tapings, and usually we go like Aaron Stevens, Mick, and with black belts and Mongrovi stuff on that. So they know who we are. And they would respond and say, yeah, it's cool. And I guess with Piper, her life's ambition, she loves baseball. She loves rock. She really loves Broadway and theater, and she wants to do that. And she was like, do you think this might be something for me to help get me used to talking to people or performing or engaging. And I was like, absolutely. And the worst that someone can do is say no, and that's okay. People are busy. They have, especially in wrestling, people have to protect their they've got to protect kayfabe, and they've got to protect their personality. And there's people that guard that, and I respect that. There have been people that have said, look, we love your show. I don't feel comfortable doing it right now because this is what I'm trying to do in the show, and I don't want the lines to be blurred, even though the world is smart to it and all that. And we're cool with it. We tell them, hey, we're still fans. Don't worry about it. We get it. We watch wrestling our whole lives, but it was kind of a venue for her to start to kind of express and communicate and engage in people that have theatrical interest and are in the film of performance art. And so that's kind of where it was born out of. And we got, one of our first guests was Thunder Rosa and Gary Horn and Adam Rotella Wrestling Days. And so it just picked up after that. And we, pretty much we ask and they say, yeah, we have a relationship where Gary's one of my best friends, and Gary has spent years building up goodwill and credibility. And so being able to come with him, they know that we're not going to do anything to damage the brand or to do anything off color or to, reveal the secrets of the business or that kind of thing, So we're going to be faithful and good stewards of what's been entrusted to us. And so we met with nothing but positive feedback and willingness to come on. We've got a slate of people coming out. We've got great shows coming up. We've got 8 or 9 episodes in the can ready to go. And then we got a list of 9 or 10 people, on the deck that we got to interview after that. So it's just, we constantly do it. It's fun. We get to edit. She gets to get into technology. She's a curator of YouTube content, and she loves that. And it just makes her a 21st century learner. And so all those things come into it, and then she gets to spend time with me, and she knows that I love wrestling and I'm passionate about it, and she is too, but it's really more me. And when it comes to that angle, but so it's a blessing, my wife's behind it. It's very time consuming, as you know. You have to have family on board. Gary and Will, I don't know if you've ever been on a show, but we go on and we go, man, it's not a 1 hour podcast, man. We'll go on maybe 3, maybe 4 hours at a time, just because we're such good friends and it's so organic. And when we started doing Piper's Notes, our first shows were 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Now, the Eddie Kingston interview was an hour, and that doesn't include all the stuff we talked about beforehand when we just got in there just hanging out, man. And that's, I love it. The NWA fam is as much about the talent as it is about the fan base, and they've been so receptive like no other wrestling entity is.
And you can feel that. I've talked with Will on here. I've talked with Gary on here. I've been in some of your shows. You can feel it. It's something you can grasp and feel, and it's all great stuff. Does Piper have any? And I wore my Roddy Piper shirt tonight just for her. And I didn't go with the traditional hot rod one either. I was going to, but then I was like, no, everybody wears the hot rod one. I'm gonna wear this other one I have. Does she ever want to get in the ring? Does she ever want to take a bump?
Well, I am actually just through Providence, and the reason we didn't name Piper after Roddy Piper, we're actually Presbyterian, and so I'm German. My wife is Syrian, but we're Presbyterian in our faith commitment, and so there's that traditional Scottish Presbyterian type, Pied Piper type thing, and that's where we came up with that, But she has since become a Piper fan. But just through the providence of and in the fullness of time, when I happened to be a wrestling coach in the middle school, I coached a wrestling team. And I came into contact with a guy who goes by the name of the Nature Boy Paul Lee. He is in the independent circuit in the Southeast. He actually is the promoter of the longest running promotion in the Southeast called the American Wrestling Federation. And we actually are uploading some content on the NWA pod tonight. His stuff is good. Anybody has come through there, from Nick Aldis to Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Ricky Morton, Road Warrior Animal, Buff Bagwell, Ric Flair himself has come through there. They come through, and it's a legitimate promotion. Yeah. It's not a backyard thing where you just some kid decided, hey, I want to do a wrestling show. These are people that have a school, that study. Just to put it in perspective, we just crowned a viral champion, which is sort of their version of the TNT or the TV champion. His name is Alex Taylor. He teaches at the Tried and True School where both Nick Aldis and Tom Latimer are at. So these are legitimate guys.
Legit men, yeah.
And over the years, Paul and I became really good friends. He's one of my best friends in the world, and I have been brought into the show. I don't really do any in-ring bumping, although I've done.
Robbie
I went
Roode.
to school. I'm Robbie Roode. Yeah,
that's
I took
right.
a bump, and I've my daughter gets in there, and she has those ambitions because it's fun and it's been part of her life, her whole life. She's never known life without wrestling either, probably like your kids, and so she has this. Any good, you want your kids to follow in your footsteps. I have tried to redirect her, not because there's anything shameful about wrestling, but wrestling is a very hard life.
Yeah.
It's not glitz and glamour. I mean, if you make it to that big stage, like, in the WWE or AEW, and you've got that con money, it's there. But people who aren't that level, they're traveling performers, and it's a very difficult life. It's not conducive to the family. It, and you see, like, especially second and third generation wrestlers, the demons catch up with them. And it's just, it's almost a tragic story. You just have to watch, Dark Side of the Ring to see what I'm talking about. And so I don't want that life for her, but she really much, she's very into it, man. If she could get a Divas or a Knockouts contract, man, she would be all about it. And of course I would support her, but I'm trying, I'm like, this Broadway thing you speak about, how about that? That's a hard life too, but it's a different kind of hard.
Exactly. Right. Well, my two oldest daughters, this will be the last thing, and then we'll wrap up. My two oldest daughters are 11 and 7, and they're not, they watch wrestling with dad, but they want to do it. Like, they want to do it. Like, my kids, they love gymnastics, and they're good at it, and they do it. They play all sorts of sports, but they do gymnastics. My oldest daughter can do backflips and stuff. So, of course, dad says, well, sweetie, if you can do a backflip, you can do a moonsault. And then I have to show her a moonsault. And she goes, oh, can I do that? Can I do that off the couch? Can I do that on the couch? Can I do it here? And I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, but if you have to do it, you have to land flat on your stomach. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, shit. So my kids are interesting because they don't care. Like, they'll watch it and they love it, but they want to do it. Like, they want to go out and do it. They'll see it. Like, let's say, for example, they watched a Thunder Rosa match. As soon as it was done, they want to go and wrestle that match. One of them will be Allison Kay, the other will be Thunder Rosa, and they will do it. And they will do it. One of them is very stiff and belongs in Japan, and the other can sell like a mother. Can just sell. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those two. But I know what I am going to do is I'm going to wrap up this spot with you, Robert, because I feel like we could just, like you said, just keep going, just keep talking. And before we know, it's 3 hours down the road. And I do have Headlocked Comics coming on here shortly. Talk to them, geek out a little bit on comics and wrestling because everybody likes that. But definitely, we're definitely going to be in touch. But before I let you go, what I like to do at the end of the show is I want to give you the mic, put over whatever you want, say whatever you want. I will not cut you off. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. Well, you can find me on Twitter at rstinson4. That's my primary means of communication about wrestling stuff. I do have a Facebook page, Robert Stinson. Yeah, I think Vanessa and I are friends on Facebook, and that's more personal stuff. It's baseball. It's like just family stuff. It's not really wrestling oriented. Although I won't hesitate to share something that's wrestling related on there. You can find us. I've got to put over my brothers, man, Gary and Will. They're fantastic, and you couldn't ask for better co-hosts. We have such an organic, like, instant connection with each other, and when you listen to our shows, I mean, and you guys in the house like Scooby and Wrestling with MMA that are in the chat right now, they come in and that's what it is. We're just guys. We're not pretentious. We're not here to like trump knowledge or lord it over anybody. We're just hanging out talking wrestling. That's why it goes so long. We're just buddies hanging out, and the next thing you know, it's 3 hours later and time has escaped us. But that happens every Sunday night and every Tuesday night. Vanessa comes in all the time, man. She's in there.
Awesome. Yeah.
And she's NWA fam, just like you are. And that is at the NWA pod. You can find us on all our social media platforms at the NWA Pod or this is the NWA Podcast. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. It's not hard to find. Hey, it's Will does a daily show. It's based on time and his availability because he's very busy doing. He and his wife are both small business owners and he works as well. But he also works with Jay Cal, a good friend of ours, Jason Keeley with the Alliance Blog. Yep. He is also NWA fan, and he's in our cohort where Gary, and you probably know this stuff, so I don't want to belabor it, but we call ourselves the Bearded Trio, but then you bring Kaylee in, and he is we're the Quad Squad. And now you got your beard, so you could easily fit into that. I know.
I'm going to have to join. We're going to have to come up with a new name.
Then you got Elder Sauer from 10 Pounds Podcast. You got RJ, all the bearded guys, man. We just got to, every step, brings a different level. But I support anybody who elevates the NWA. You can elevate anything else. I know you guys have a broad wrestling perspective, and I support that as well. But you guys, I've listened to some of your back episodes on putting you over. You guys are always so positive about the brand, and you generate wrestling. You respect good wrestling, and you've always said good things about our champion and about what we're doing. And so I put you over, man. And
there you go.
You touched my heart, Rob.
We're a fan, man. It's family. We're hashtag NWA fam. You'll see us put that on everything we put out. Hashtag NWA fam. It doesn't matter if we're talking baseball. Natalia Martins, she's a life coach. Hashtag NWA fam on her stuff because wrestling is high culture and it's about life and relationships and so we're all about that. And so anywhere you see any of those names I just mentioned, please like, follow, share, get them over, elevate them, get them monetized so they can make a little money. You'll make a lot of money in this business. It's a labor of love. So buy the merchandise, support independent wrestling. One last thing I want to put over.
Yes.
And I'll stop because I'm long-winded, man. I know this is.
That's fine. I like that. I'm usually long-winded, so go ahead.
I want to put over, if you get a chance tonight, we are releasing for the first time ever our friends at the American Wrestling Federation, because we don't have any strictly wrestling content right now coming out of the NWA, which is not forever. That's going to change very soon. But for the time being, they have agreed to allow us to put their viral content, which is their internet-only show, on the NWA podcast channel. I'm going to be uploading that tonight, season 2, episode 1. If you get a chance to go back and follow their channel on YouTube,
I did today, actually.
AWF Viral. Please do that. Yeah. It's outstanding stuff. And again, Alex Taylor, who is very prominently featured. This is a guy who rubs shoulders with Crimson. He's one of them Tennessee boys. He's trained with Seth Rollins. He's a legitimate star, and it is a legit promotion. And they're trying to do something that to hold the wrestling crowd over during the COVID crisis, and it's a good thing. So we're going to upload that tonight. Over, like, share, support them too, and it is what it is, man. Hashtag NWA fam.
It is what it is. All right, Robert. Thank you for giving me your time tonight, and I'll see you around on the NWA pod. I'll see you in the circles, man. We're all in the same ring.
Hey, man. Much love, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a great night.
Vanessa. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, good night, Rob.
All right, awesome.
This guy's called the Standing Streamer.